Good night, good night. Have one done tonight. God is good and God is good all the time. My name is Irma J. Spirit Divine. Here give you a word on tonight, and the topic gonna be unthinkable. And it's gonna be on Bathsheba and David. Now this story about Bathsheba. And now she just could not tell David no. She could not tell David no. David saw her bathing on the roof. And he fell in love with her. Where he had her husband killed. So David married her, and she was pregnant out of sin, both of them. That's why later on, God wanted his son to build a temple because David had shed too much blood. So God was not pleased with David, what he did, and God gave them a child and then took it away. But she would never thought the unthinkable, you know, what happened to her, but it did. Only if she would have said no. So this story gonna come from 2 Samuel chapter 11 verse 1 through 27. So David just got through fighting war, and David remained in Jerusalem. So one evening David got up from his bed, walked around the roof. When he saw Bathsheba bathing on the roof, on her side of the roof. Now he saw Bathsheba bathing on the roof, and he said she was beautiful. So David sent a message to find out about her. And the man said she's Bathsheba and she's married. And David sent for her. Now he didn't care. He heard the man say she's married. So that didn't stop him. He's still gonna send them over there to tell her to come to him. So she came to him. He sent somebody over there for her to come to him, and she did. She came to him, and he slept with her, and then she went back home to her husband. So Bathsheba went home to her husband, and now Bathsheba could not say no to David. And now she's pregnant with David's child. So her and David would deal with the unthinkable, with God. So now she sent a word to David that she's pregnant. So now David is plotting to have her husband killed. So now she having a baby, and it's like they having a family together. So now he plotting to kill the woman husband. So the plot is send him to walk and place him where he'll be killed. So the plot is to send him to walk and place him right in front, so that he can just get killed, in the line of duty. So verse 11, chapter 11, 14, David wrote a letter to Joab and sent it with to Bathsheba's husband. Now David said, put him out in front where the fighting will begin, and withdraw from him so he will be struck down and die. See, this is the kind of bloodshed David doing. And that's why God had wanted his son to build a temple. Because, see, a lot of bloodshed was not God doing. So that's why God had said, you shed a lot of blood. He shed a lot of blood that what they had, God didn't tell him to do. See, God tell the Israelites, y'all go to war. I'm going to be with you. But David's stuff he doing like this here, it's not God's way. So they place him in front. Not only did he die, but David men also died too. David men got killed in the line of duty too. So that's why he was fussing at them. Y'all wasn't supposed to get too close. This is a plot. This only one person supposed to get killed, and most of his men got killed. So Bathsheba heard that her husband is dead. Now she mourned for him. And now David waited time of mourning for her to be over with. So he is something. He waited for her to stop mourning for her husband, so then he can grab her and marry her. So he waited for her to stop mourning. So David had her to come by his house, and she came, and become his wife, and brought him, and they had the son. But the thing David had done did please God. The thing he done did please God. Now, Nabin had replied, the Lord had taken away your sin. He said David will not die. God still saving David because um, David ain't jumping his position yet. So God still saving him. So Nabin had said, God had taken away your sin, but David, you will not die. You know, since David did please God, the son born to you will die. Since he had the son in sin. So that's what he's saying. He said, since you had the son in sin, that's the son God gonna take away from you. So David pleased. David did please with God, with the child that he had fed. He fed. See, he really want this child. So he gonna fast and everything else to keep this child. So he fast. He spent the night lying on sackcloth on the ground. The elders of his household stood beside him to get him up from the ground. So he just so depressed. He is so depressed. He fasting and he not eating and he laying all on the ground. So he done all these things. But he refused and he will not eat any food with them. Now Bathsheba life had turned upside down. Soon as she met David. She had a normal life. But soon as she went by David, she was easy to persuade. Bathsheba left turning up her life turned upside down. Did not tell David no, and now her husband is dead, and she never thought God would do the unthinkable to her. So God give and God can take away. God saved David, but took his son. So the 7th day the child had died. God had done the unthinkable because both of them, their action had caused that. So now David recounted what the prophet had told him. Now he kind of remember what the prophet told him. And Bathsheba, her breath frozen in her lungs so that she could neither invade nor exhale. So she felt her face fluttering as she reached out to steady herself on David's arms. So David too was visible shaking and his blood shedding was easily stirred into hers. Bloodshot eyes started into hers and Bathsheba, no, it couldn't be. Now she's still in state of shock. She ran into the room. She said, "Oh no, this can't be." Her first thought denied the truth that their newborn baby, boy had been the picture of help just that morning. So with David's words wrangling in her ear, she gathered the hem of her dress and ran down the palace, hallway. Just imagine. We can't imagine. But just imagine how she feeling right now. How she feeling her first child and then it's gone. So but she rushing to the baby room. So they're finding out that their son had died. And the son was supposed to be with the nanny. So now she running to the room to see if he in that room. So she rushed into his room, perfectly healthy boy, but that boy, their son was dying. Now she sank to her knees in a crumbling and pushed back her hair. So they couldn't be helping. And she said, first her husband, and now her baby, unshakable. And now she's saying, first it was her husband, now it's my kid. She like, what else? What else gonna happen next? What else gonna happen next? So now her in the unthinkable. Now her in the unthinkable. How much more could she take now? It's like one more thing. One more thing. Many of us probably had those days. One thing after another. So she realized the prophet had said regardless of the sin. Now she remember the prophet came early on and told her about the sin. But who could think about the blame at the time like this? You know? So when you have crisis like that, you pretty much don't need friends or nobody to try to tell you, well, I told you so, or telling them the right and wrong. That's not the time for it. You know, that's not the time for it. And some people like that, they want to correct you in the mix of your trials. You know, so but who could think about blame at a time like this? The overwhelming pain of losing a child, everything else. You know, watches David suffer haste, you know, for agony. You know, that she suffered heartaches after heartaches. Each passing day was my worst, was much worse. You know, so she suffered heartaches after heartaches, and the passing day was much worse than ever. You know, not losing her husband, losing her baby, you know, now the God give and He take it away. God save and they will look at His son. So she experienced the unthinkable that is new thought what happens, never thought it would happen to her. You know, we have to be mindful because you never know what's gonna come our way. You never know what's gonna come our way. That's what we always got to say prayer for. You know, we always have to say prayer for because we don't know what's gonna come at us. You know, you don't know what's gonna come at us. Now, David was up there on the roof. You know, he just come from fighting a war. He won. So so he walking up there, not knowing if somebody else was gonna be up there. But she was up there basing, you know. And then his men went over there to see who she is. All she had to do was just say no, you know. So now somebody called over there, you know, for her to come to them. And see me, I would have been giving her a hard time. Give them a hard time. Some people just so easy, you know, so easy. So she could not tell David no. She could not tell David no, and she more part of the blame than David. You know, she more part of the blame, you know, than David. You know, so we can't just put all the blame on David. It's her too because she was in the power to say no. But she refused to say no. David called her and she just automatically just go ahead and sleep with David, knowing she had a husband at home. You know, so we have to be mindful and remember all kind of unthinkable things will happen to occur. You know, so she never thought it was gonna happen to her, but it did. It did. You know, so that's all the word I have for you on today. Y'all have a blessed night. And I see y'all on the next video.